Hi everyone, my name's Tom. I'm an engineer at ThinkMill, and today I've got some special guests.
Hey, my name's Jordan and I'm an engineer at ThinkMill.
And I'm Nathan. I'm a design systems engineer at ThinkMill.
So, Jordan and Nathan have recently been on the team with the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, which is part of the Australian federal government. That team has just launched the beta of the design system they've been building. There's a lot of outcomes that we're really happy about at ThinkMill, so we thought we'd dive in and share some of them. So, Nathan, take it away.
No worries. Hi, everyone. So, this is the export service. This is a division of the Australian government's Department of Agriculture, Fishery and Forestry. And what this department is responsible for is allowing farmers and agricultural good suppliers to sell goods overseas to different countries. There's lots of trade agreements and of complexity around that. So, what they're looking for is to enable the exporting of those goods in a way that's easy for farmers uh, to handle. So a lot of the practices at present are paper based. So if you're registering your establishment, if you're doing different things, it actually requires a paper based form. So a lot of what this department is doing is uh, creating digital transformation across this space and digitizing these different flows. So what Jordan and I have been working on among another great team of people is the design system, which is a suite of tools that allow the developers of the export service to create these flows in a scalable, consistent, accessible way. So we're very proud of this. We've built a suite of components and templates that can be applied to any of the products. So here's a global alert, for instance, and as well as the templates as well to enable these consistent experiences.
So, with the start of this design system, you guys decided to model a lot of it off the gold design system, if I'm correct, right? So we're looking at the design system that was built for a lot of Australian products, which has now been picked up by a large sort of group of people wanting to keep everything open source. So what was the reasoning behind picking that as a starting point?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the former Australian government design system that's now called Gold, that was run by the DTA. It no longer is. It's being run by a community group. What we really wanted to do, there's a really solid community of people who have been using Gold for a long time, and what we really needed was something that shares that similar aesthetic with Gold and a lot of the really good design principles and learnings that came out of building Gold, but rebuilding it in a modern React technology that was purpose built for the export service. So we've taken a lot of the design principles and components from Gold in creating our design system.
So in terms of a more modern stack of that, Jordan, what did you guys end up reaching for when starting this project?
So Gold was built with HTML and SAS as a foundation, and they did a component library, but the other Department of Agriculture, all teams are using React, so we went 100% with React. So we're only using React. Everything is built in TypeScript as well, and we have styled everything using Emotion, which is another library that ThinkMill maintains. And the reason for that is because some teams already had existing products, and we wanted them to be able to, put in a component into an existing product and incrementally adopt our components. So having those scope styles really allowed us to do that.
Okay, yeah, that's super interesting, and great use of emotion in there. Another think mill thing. Outside of the sort of direct stack of the design system, what else did you guys reach for in terms of collaboration and sort of sharing that all these components amongst the team?
Yeah, there was two really exciting technologies that we use as part of this process. One is Playroom, which is a an open source product, an open source tool that's been created by Seek and their design system team. And what that enables us is to create an environment where designers and developers can get their hands on with the components. We don't have to start any scripts. We don't need to import anything. We can just build UI mockups using the design system components which has been a really good solution for us because we've had lots of designers and developers alike, doing problem solving with this. Just this week, in fact, we've been working with a team who were trying to work out the best uh, design paradigm for presenting some information that's important for the user to know before they start a form script, and how do they do that in an accessible way. So we've been going back and forth with designers, and that our designers, in fact, have been using this tool, writing code, uh, to show them a way that they can achieve this design outcome using the components the way they were meant to. So that's been really good because we can use the actual components, the actual code, rather than just dropping some pixels into a tool like Figma, um, and not using the guardrails of how these components were built.
That's a really nice tool to have, and access to be able to collaborate in real time without having to set up a lot of infrastructure to get that going, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can share a URL in Playroom as well. So all the code that you write in a snippet can be shared um, in Slack or in Teams, and anyone can view it, which is amazing.
That's really cool. So, what else did you reach for outside of that? Did you guys end up using something like a storybook or something like that?
Yep, exactly. Yep. Storybook has been an awesome tool. So, what Storybook enables us to do is visual testing of the components. So, when we're building a new component, we can create a story for all the different uses of that component. So, here's a status badge and table, for instance. So, all of our components, as we build them, we create stories for. We also have more complex examples like our remote data guide cards here, where we can show things like how we expect loading states to appear in our design system using our skeleton components. One step further from that is what we call the kitchen sink, which is a mock up, not a very realistic one, but a mock up using all of the components of the design system. So, what this enables is, as we're doing widespread wholesale changes to the design system, such as we're maybe changing the green color to something different, we're able to go into this scene and visually see exactly how that change is going to sweep across all of the components in our design system.
A really great way of using that. So that kitchen sink example becomes sort of the visual testing ground of like you make one change and you can see how it will affect every component if it does end up doing that, right?
Exactly. We also now have PR previews as well. So every time we make a change to a component, we're able to give the designers and the rest of the team a link so they can go into this and review it. So anytime that we make a change to the components or creating new components as well.
So now that we've got all our storybook, we've got our playroom, we've got all our design system components. What is the next step of adoption that you guys were looking at taking for getting all these teams on board to using these products?
Yep, so we have built a suite of templates using our components. And what these templates are just common compositions of designs and flows that you'll see inside of the export service. So maybe you could open up a single page form, Fulminate, um, and this is a really good way to see how all the design system components fit together, how they interact with user feedback and user validation, and everything that you'd expect in kind of a real world scenario. Um, so all of this code is available on GitHub for people to copy and paste and put in their own applications. And as well as all these templates, we do have a series of guides which shows users, how to install the design system, why we've made certain decisions, how to use our components with certain form libraries.
So one of the things that the team got a lot of praise for was the third party accessibility audit that came in and had a lot of really good things and a lot of really good feedback, and really really liked our design system. So do you guys want to talk a little bit more on that and how that happened, and the sort of feedback loops that happened with that?
Yeah, for sure. Accessibility is something that is a core pillar of our design system. We wanted everything that gets built in design, we wanted to apply an accessibility lens onto everything. So the third party accessibility audit was something that was really important for us. So this third party agency reviewed our components and also our templates, and in general, we passed with flying colors. There's some very minor issues that were easily sorted out, which was a really positive experience with what we've learned and what we took away from that. The third phase of the audit was a really amazing experience where we got to observe people who have different needs when it comes to working with computers. So, people who use screen readers or other tools for being able to perceive what the web page is telling them. We were able to observe these people using our applications, and we got to with some great feedback from that test.
Yeah. Yeah, so as Nathan said, we created this website to test our flows for multi-page, multi-step forms. And because the agriculture forms are quite specific and you need a very detailed knowledge of how exports work, we created this really generic form for registering a pet in some vague government agency. And this whole UI and UX follows the same flow as all of the forms inside the export service. Um, so, yeah, as Nathan said, we got to observe a lot of different people interacting with our forms who relied on assistive technologies, came away with some. So using the insights and findings from these usability sessions, we're able to make some really solid improvements visually and non-visually as well to our components to help the accessibility of our components.
Great feedback from all the work that the whole team's put in to get such a glowing review from the auditors. So that must have been really, really impressive. Now that you guys have built all this and all this has gone through, how was it in the picking up of the teams to do their rebrandings and implementations of these components using the design system?
Yeah, using the design system was there was a really great unexpected side effect. When the change of government happened, there was an organizational restructure. We went from the Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment to Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry. So there was this department-wide rebranding that had to happen across all of our different digital experiences. So what we're able to do was using the core library of components that we published, we were able to enable the product teams to uh, implement this new brand with pretty minimal friction, which was a really really great effect of the design system, and was a really great draw card for teams that weren't already using it as well.
So this has all moved into beta now, and I believe the project is open source as well. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, beta is a really great milestone for us. It demonstrates level of confidence over not just the components themselves, but then also the documentation for designers as well, to go forth and use this library. So we've got that beta tag, which we're very excited about. So product teams are jumping on board with this. It's also a themeable design system as well. So it was something that you wanted to implement for your own government department or otherwise. The all of the components are published on npm. There's a GitHub repository for it as well, so you're actually able to go in and take a look at the code for all of these components.
Yeah, wow, that's really exciting. I think that's a good place to leave it. Unless either of you have anything else, but if anyone wants a little bit more information on some of the stuff in the design system here or any of the other work that we've done at ThinkMill, we have a work page at thinkmill.com.au/work that lists a lot of the case studies that we've done, and there's a bit more in depth on these kind of things that we've been talking about today. So thank you very much, Nathan and Jordan, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.